She cried in our kitchen, sobbing over us, while her finger hovered above a photo of him, half naked, smiling. I watched from the hallway, silent. The same thumb that wore my ring was scrubbing our truth clean. She had no idea what I'd already set in motion. It started with a scent. Not perfume, that would have been too easy. It was sweat. Male. Not mine. Lingering on the sheets like a warning. Ashley had just showered. I was folding laundry in the bedroom, a habit I picked up after her second miscarriage. Or maybe the first. It's hard to pin down where sympathy became routine. The bed was still warm from where she'd been sitting, scrolling. Laughing to herself like someone had told a joke I'd never get. I lifted the pillow and caught it. That faint, musky trace. Wrong. Foreign. I leaned in like a detective, not a husband. I didn't flinch. I didn't speak. I noted it like a line in a file. She walked in with wet hair and that oversized university sweatshirt she wore when she wanted to seem small, harmless. "You're quiet," she said, a hint of concern or maybe calculation. "Just thinking." She kissed me. I didn't kiss back. She didn't notice. Or pretended not to. That night, she fell asleep fast. Back turned, breathing steady. I watched the back of her neck, where her hair stuck slightly from the shower. I used to trace that spot. Now I memorized it. For evidence. The next morning, I checked the laundry. Her underwear was inside out, damp in a way that didn't match her shower timing. A pattern was forming. I didn't ask questions. I observed. Ashley worked from home 3 days a week. Said the office was toxic. She liked the silence here. Said it made her feel safe. Thursday afternoon, I came home early. Said I forgot a file. I opened the front door as quietly as I could. No sound from the living room. Kitchen, clean. Then I saw it, her phone face down on the coffee table, next to a second coffee mug. Still warm. She was in the bedroom. Door closed. I didn't go in. Not yet. I looked at the mug. A faint lip print. Too wide to be hers. She came out 5 minutes later, startled to see me. "Didn't hear you come in," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. "File," I said, holding up a random folder. She nodded. Too fast. Eyes flicked to the mugs, then away. "Want coffee?" I shook my head. She picked up the second mug, rinsed it before I could comment. I watched the water swirl the evidence away. Ashley wasn't a bad actress. She was a lazy one. She relied on routine, assumed I'd stop seeing what was right there because I'd seen it too many times. Friday night, she went out. "Girls' night," she said. Didn't ask if I minded. She used to. I said, "Have fun," and handed her the coat she never wore unless she was dressing for someone else. When she left, I opened her laptop. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. She was smarter than to leave obvious messages. But people make mistakes when they get comfortable. Photos. Not in a folder, in the recently deleted. 3 shots. Cropped faces. Hotel sheets. Her necklace. His hand. All blurry. All damning. I recovered them, saved them elsewhere. Then I looked at the time stamps. Each one lined up with the nights she said she was with Megan. She came home tipsy at midnight, dropped her heels by the door, and giggled to herself on the way to the bathroom. I watched her from the hallway mirror. She didn't know I had already seen her new face. The next morning, she cried while cleaning. Said she was just overwhelmed. Work. Life. Us. I handed her tissues. She said, "Do you still love me?" I didn't answer. She smiled like that meant yes. I smiled back. Like I believed a single word out of that cheating bitch's mouth. The next week, I started keeping track. Not just where she went, how she behaved when she got back. Her voice always softened after seeing him. More smiles. Less questions. Like guilt had made her generous. I logged everything in a notebook she'd never touch: old receipts, dinner timestamps, subtle shifts in scent. I even started recording our conversations. Not out of paranoia. Out of precision. Tuesday night, she brought me lasagna from that Italian place near her yoga studio. Said she thought of me. Said she wanted us to reconnect. She never brought food before. I asked, "What made you think of me?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" I shrugged. "Just curious." She stared at the lasagna, then smiled. "Because I love you, idiot." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her fingers fidgeted with the fork. We ate in silence. Later, when she was in the shower, I checked the bag. 2 receipts in the bottom. 1 for the lasagna. 1 for 2 glasses of wine, different timestamp, 30 minutes earlier. Table for 2. I tucked both into the notebook. Her lies weren't even well made. That was the insult. She thought I wouldn't look. That's what made it worse, not the affair. The dismissal. That Friday, she invited Megan over. The so-called alibi. I made them drinks. Watched Megan closely. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Ashley laughed too loud. Touched her hair too much. I excused myself and listened from the hallway. Megan, he seems quiet lately. Ashley, he's just distracted. Work stuff. Megan, you sure he doesn't know? Ashley, he'd never suspect. I smiled. They clinked glasses. She really thought I was that blind. That passive. That night, I pretended to be asleep. She slipped out of bed at 2:12 a.m. I heard the soft scrape of the drawer opening. Her charger wasn't in there. Her phone was. She always kept it face down. That night, she took it into the hallway. I waited until the creak of the floorboard gave her away. I followed. Silent. She was leaning against the wall, whispering. "I miss you too. It's just hard right now." "Yeah. I know. I will. Soon." I stepped back before she turned around. Slipped into bed. Slowed my breathing. She crawled in 5 minutes later, colder than before. I almost pitied her. She didn't know she was talking to a man who already had her voice on tape. Saturday, I left early. Said I had errands. I drove to the address I pulled from her Uber history. A hotel off Route 23. Beige and forgettable. Room 217. I watched the hallway from my car. Waited. At 1:37 p.m., a man walked out. Mid-30s, gym fit, business casual. Confident like someone who'd never been caught. He got into a silver Tesla. Texas plates. I didn't follow. I already had what I needed. I went inside, asked to speak to the manager. Said my brother was staying in room 217 but hadn't answered texts. "Mark," the woman at the desk asked. I paused. "Yeah." She looked concerned. "He checked out this morning. His girlfriend left earlier. Is everything okay?" I smiled. "I'm sure it will be." On the drive back, I called a lawyer. Not for divorce. Not yet. For strategy. Ashley was reckless, not stupid. If I went at her fast, she'd spin it. Make it about me. Twist the timeline. So I'd go slow. Document everything. Not to confront. To trap. That night, she curled up next to me like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't moaned someone else's name into hotel pillows. I kissed her forehead. She whispered, "Thank you for being patient with me." I whispered back, "Always." Even snakes need to feel safe before they're skinned. There's a difference between watching someone lie and letting them believe you buy it. The second one takes control. By the next week, I'd memorized her rhythms. When she showered. When she scrolled. When she smiled at texts that didn't come from me. I set up a cam, low res, nothing flashy. Hidden behind the bookshelf, facing the living room couch. She always sat there when she worked. That Thursday, she wore lipstick. No Zoom calls on her calendar. No meetings. Just her, the couch, and whoever was on the other end of her screen. I reviewed the footage at 2 a.m., lights off, headphones in. She touched her hair 12 times in the first 5 minutes. Bit her lip 3 times. Laughed out loud once, a real laugh, not the thin one she gave me lately. I couldn't see the laptop screen, but her face said enough. I clipped the video. Stored it. Labeled it, Session 1. By Saturday, she started slipping. First it was the scent again. Not sweat, cologne. Not mine. Then her shirt, inside out under her sweater. Not how she left the house. I tested her. I found an earring under the couch, I said casually. She froze. Mine. Didn't look like it. She paused. Must be Megan's. Of course. Megan. The ghost she summoned whenever she needed a cover. I nodded. Weird. Haven't seen her wear hoops before. Ashley tilted her head. You notice earrings now? Only the ones I didn't buy. That stuck. Her jaw tensed for half a second. Then she smiled, too wide. You're being weird, she said. You're being forgetful, I replied. She went silent. Left the room. That's when I knew she felt it. The shift. She wasn't sure if I was guessing or if I knew. That's the space I wanted her in. Paranoia makes people clumsy. The next week, she scheduled a therapy session. Said we needed help. I agreed. Played along. Dr. Halston. Neutral office. Beige walls. The kind of place where people go to pretend things can be fixed. She talked first. Spun it clean. Said I'd been emotionally distant. That she felt invisible. I let her. Then I asked one question. Do you think lies count if they come from pain? The therapist blinked. Ashley smiled, fake, fast. He likes riddles. No, I said. Just curious. The therapist nodded, jotting down notes. Probably some bullshit about deflection or passive aggression. Ashley reached for my hand. I let her take it. But my fingers stayed limp. I recorded the whole session. I'd read the fine print. One-party consent state. We left in silence. She cried in the car. I don't want to lose you. I stared at the windshield. Then stopped pushing me away. That night, she cooked. Rare. Candlelit, even. She asked, do you believe I love you? I said, I believe you love the version of me that doesn't ask questions. She stopped chewing. Why are you being like this? Why are you? Her eyes welled up. Maybe real. Maybe practiced. She said, I'm trying. I nodded. So am I. Later, I checked her phone. She'd started deleting messages manually. Covering tracks she thought I couldn't see. But she'd forgotten about the cloud sync. Her iPad in the downstairs drawer still auto-synced texts. I opened it. Waited. Watched. A message came in at 11:42 p.m. Mark, I miss your mouth. She replied, soon. I promise. I took a screenshot. Saved it with the others. She was unraveling. And I was stitching a net. The next few days became a slow bleed. Little cracks in her routine, widening with every misstep she didn't realize I was cataloging. Sunday morning, she was in the kitchen making pancakes. The Bluetooth speaker played one of his playlists, indie trash she never liked before. I asked, who's this? She looked up too fast. Just something from Spotify Radio. She never used Spotify Radio. She made playlists. Always. Nice change, I said, sipping my coffee. She nodded, but her hands were shaking just enough to make the spatula clatter against the pan. At noon, she said she was going to her mom's. Stayed 4 hours. Her mom called me during hour 2. Where's Ashley? She asked. I paused. She said she was with you. A beat of silence. No. Not today. I smiled. Maybe she got the days mixed up. When Ashley came home, I didn't ask. Just kissed her cheek and handed her the mail. That night, I synced her calendar to mine. Hidden under an old Apple ID she forgot was still connected. Tuesday, 3 p.m., meeting. I drove to the location, a coffee shop across town. She wasn't inside. She was in the alley behind it, arms wrapped around him. Laughing. Looking 15 again. Careless. I stayed in the car, far enough to be invisible, close enough to see. He kissed her neck. She leaned into it. I didn't take a photo. Not yet. That would be proof too early. What I needed was confession. Or exposure. Or both. Wednesday, I left an envelope on her desk. Inside, nothing but the printed words, I know. No name. No date. No explanation. She found it at 4:17 p.m. I watched from the hallway. Her fingers trembled. She looked around the room like the walls were wired. She didn't say a word. She shredded it and flushed it down the toilet. That night, she barely touched her food. You okay? I asked. Yeah. Just tired. You sure? She hesitated. Yeah. Why? I tilted my head. You're acting like something's wrong. She didn't respond. I leaned in. Maybe your guilt's catching up. Her fork dropped. What? I said you look pale, I replied. Come. Even. She forced a laugh. God, you're weird lately. You started it. She stared at me, trying to read my face, not sure which version of me she was sitting across from anymore. I could see the panic flickering behind her eyes. She couldn't tell if the game was over or just beginning. She went to bed early. I stayed up, reviewing footage. Her Zoom logs were clean, but I found something better, a screen recording she forgot to delete. 2 weeks old. A FaceTime call. She thought it was gone. It started mid-conversation. He's just always there, she was saying, curled on the couch, talking to the camera. I need space to breathe, you know. His voice replied, faint but clear. You should just end it. He sounds miserable. She laughed. He's not miserable. He's boring. I saved it. Dated it. And then I made a list. A detailed one. Of every date, every lie, every overlap. Not to confront her. To present. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to show her a mirror, one she couldn't shatter. Because the thing about liars like Ashley is, they think love makes you blind. But I wasn't blind. I was documenting. And every mask she wore was now catalogued, itemized, and ready for display. It broke wide open the day her iPad buzzed while she was in the shower. I never touched her stuff before, not because I respected her privacy, but because I wanted her to think I did. Today was different. She'd left the door cracked, steam hissing like a tell. I sat at the kitchen counter, screen lit. Message preview from M. Still thinking about Sunday. The marks faded, but I kinda wish they hadn't. I opened the thread. Dozens of messages. Voice notes. A photo. Her neck, slightly bruised. Cropped just right. He called her Ash. A name she always said she hated. She called him baby. A word she hadn't used with me since her last miscarriage. I screen recorded everything. Airdropped it to my phone. Deleted the open status. By the time she stepped out, towel draped, humming, I was back on the couch pretending to scroll. She kissed my cheek. I smiled. Then I said, "Hey, your iPad buzzed." She flinched. "Oh. Yeah. From Megan." She paused. "Right. You two planning another girls' night?" Her towel slipped slightly. She caught it. "Maybe." "Why?" "Just curious. Been a while since you had one." She nodded, distracted. I watched her retreat upstairs, one hand gripping the towel, the other probably itching to check the device. That evening, I printed everything. Every message. Every photo. Every thread. Bound in a folder. Labeled it, The Truth According to Ashley. I made 2 copies. One for her. One for my lawyer. The next day, I took a sick day. While she was out, Pilates, according to her calendar, I drove across town. To Mark's office. He worked in commercial real estate. His name was on the glass. I walked in like a client. The receptionist smiled. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," I said. "Just dropping this off." "For Mark." She hesitated. I handed her a manila envelope. No name. Just a sticky note, "She's married. Check the dates." Inside, select messages, select photos. Not enough to show everything. Just enough to raise hell. I walked out before she could ask questions. That night, Ashley was glowing. Said she got great news from a client. Said she felt like things were finally looking up. I toasted her. "To clarity," I said. She laughed. "To us." I didn't flinch. Later, while she slept, I logged into our shared bank account. I'd already started moving funds to a separate account weeks ago. This time, I closed the joint card. Step 1, Financial autonomy. Step 2 came 2 days later. She was in the living room, scrolling. I walked in, tossed the folder onto the coffee table. She blinked. "What's this?" "Open it." She hesitated, then flipped the cover. Her smile dropped before page 2. By page 5, her hands were shaking. I didn't say a word. What is this?" she asked. "You tell me." Her mouth opened. Closed. "Where did you get? Does it matter?" Tears welled up. "It's not. Don't lie. Again." She looked down. Quiet. I leaned forward. "This isn't a fight. This is a funeral." "For what?" she whispered. "For who you pretended to be." I stood. Walked upstairs. She didn't follow. I lay awake that night, waiting. Not for an apology. For a shift. And I got it. The next morning, she was gone before sunrise. No note. No text. Just gone. But her iPad was still here. And a new message had come in. "He says someone sent him stuff. He's freaking out." I smiled. Let him. The walls were getting closer. And I was just warming up. Ashley tried to clean it up. That was her first mistake. She still thought this was salvageable. She came home late that night, quiet, no makeup, hoodie zipped up to her chin. No eye contact. No lies, which for her, was suspicious. "Something happened today?" I asked, stirring my coffee. She shook her head. "Just tired." Her phone buzzed. She didn't move. "Not going to check that." She stared at the counter. "It's no one." "Funny," I said, sipping. "No one's really persistent lately." She flinched. She spent the next hour in the bathroom. When she came out, her face was dry, but the panic was starting to show in her posture. Smaller movements. Watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. I checked the trash later. Screenshot printouts. Ripped up. Sloppy. She thought she'd found the source. She thought the folder I gave her was the extent of what I had. She was wrong. The next morning, I called her boss. Just a casual inquiry about remote work schedules, making sure everything lined up. Her boss sounded confused. "Ashley's been on site most of the month." "Why do you ask?" I thanked him. Hung up. That confirmed it. She was covering both ends with the same lie. The working late nights, the client lunches, the fake commutes. Every piece was now airtight. I scheduled a consultation with the divorce attorney. Paid the retainer. Started the paperwork. When I walked out of the office, I didn't feel relief. I felt ready. That night, Ashley made dinner again. Chicken, dry, overcompensating. She sat across from me, tried to talk about renovations, paint colors, new curtains. I watched her lips move and thought of how easily they'd formed his name. "You think we need a change in here?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah. Burn it down." She laughed. Thought it was a joke. The next morning, she logged into our joint email, and I watched as she tried to reset passwords. Her browser autofilled the name Mark B in the search bar. She deleted it fast. Not fast enough. She was starting to suspect I knew more than I let on. Good. Let it eat her. The final straw came from the iPad again, a message she sent that afternoon. "He knows something. I think he's building a case. What do I do?" Mark replied. "Handle it. Get ahead of it. Use therapy if you have to. Flip it. Flip it." They weren't just sleeping together. They were strategizing. I called my attorney. Sent the logs. Sent the messages. Everything admissible, clean, cold. He said, "She's cornered. She'll try to reframe this fast. Don't engage. Don't respond. Let her act." I nodded. That's exactly what I wanted. 3 days later, she sat me down. "I've been thinking," she said, eyes wet. "Maybe we should go back to therapy." "Why?" "Because I don't want to lose what we had." "What did we have?" She swallowed. "A connection." I tilted my head. "Do you remember saying I was boring?" She froze. I smiled. "You said it on video." Her breath caught. "You're lying." I stood. Walked to the drawer. Pulled out the USB. Dropped it in front of her. "Everything you are is on here." She didn't move. I leaned close. "Let's try this. Next session, I'll bring this. Let's see what your therapist says about our connection." She didn't cry. Not this time. She just sat there, exposed. I walked out. The next day, the papers were filed. She still didn't know how far it would go. Not yet. But the stage was set. And the spotlight was coming. I served her on a Thursday. Not through a courier. Through her boss. I timed it for 11:47 a.m., mid-team meeting, conference room glass walls, everyone watching as the receptionist walked in with a manila envelope. I wasn't there. I didn't need to be. Inside, divorce papers. A summary of documented infidelity. Supporting exhibits. Timeline. And a note, "You built this. I'm just drawing the curtain." By 12:15, her phone lit up with 6 missed calls. I didn't answer any of them. At 12:40, she texted, "What the hell did you do?" I responded with a single line, "Everything you didn't think I had the nerve to." She came home early. Slammed the door. "You humiliated me at work." I didn't look up. "You did that yourself." She threw the papers on the table. "You've been spying on me. Recording me. What kind of sick game is this?" I stood. Walked to the drawer. Pulled out a second folder, thicker than the first. "Game," I said. "This is documentation. You want to talk privacy? Let's ask Mark how private he feels now." She went pale. "You didn't." "He knows. Your boss knows. Your therapist's license is under review." Her knees buckled. She sank into the chair like the oxygen had been pulled from the room. "You can't do this to me," she whispered. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling the truth." Loudly. She buried her face in her hands. I sat across from her. Calm. Controlled. "You had chances, Ashley. So many. But you chose to lie, layer after layer, even when the truth was rotting under your skin." She looked up, mascara bleeding. "What do you want?" I wanted honesty. She didn't speak. "Now." I leaned in. "Now I want distance. And consequences." Her phone buzzed again. "Mark. I saw the preview, you told him everything." She reached for it. I stopped her hand midair. Don't. I need to. No, you don't. You need to sit in it. Feel it. She pulled her hand back. Quiet. I told your father, by the way, I added. About everything. He always liked me. Figured he deserved the real version of his daughter before he walks her down any aisle again. Her jaw dropped. I didn't. You didn't think I'd make it real. That's the mistake cheaters always make. You think we'll fold to keep the image intact. She said nothing. I stood. Walked to the door. I'll be gone by Monday. My lawyer will handle the rest. Keys, accounts, assets. You'll get instructions. Follow them. Or don't. Either way, this story's ending on my terms. She didn't try to stop me. Didn't scream. Didn't beg. She just sat there, the weight of her own destruction finally anchoring her to reality. The snake had shed her skin. And underneath, there was nothing left but rot. By Monday, I was gone. Not just physically, gone from the bank account, gone from the insurance, gone from the lease. She came home to locked drawers, missing documents, and silence. The kind that doesn't ask for closure. She called 12 times. Left voicemails, each one softer than the last. The final one. Barely a whisper. I don't know who I am anymore. Please, call me. I didn't. That night, I attended a dinner party, a friend of a friend, someone she'd never met. New circle. Clean air. My phone buzzed once during dessert. I glanced. It was her. Blocked. I got home and uploaded everything to the shared drive my lawyer set up. Not for revenge. For litigation. Proof of marital misconduct. Legal grounds. Mark tried to go quiet. Deleted his LinkedIn. Pulled out of 2 business deals. But I'd already sent the package, untraceable, unmarked, to his wife. Yeah. Turns out he was married, too. She responded with a single email. Thank you. I thought I was crazy. The web burned quickly after that. Ashley's therapist, the one who encouraged her to speak her truth, was flagged for boundary violations. I'd included the recording from the session where she subtly guided Ashley to blame me for emotional inaccessibility. That went to the board. My attorney laughed. You're not burning bridges, he said. You're detonating landscapes. Good. Ashley tried to pivot. Sent a carefully worded email. I take full accountability. I just want peace and a fair settlement. I replied with one sentence. Peace is what I had before you decided I wasn't enough. We met once, in a sterile mediation room. She looked 10 years older. Hollow. Voice brittle. She asked, "Why are you doing this?" I answered without looking at her. Because you did it first, and expected silence. She didn't contest the division. She couldn't. Everything was weighted. The last thing I handed her was a printed photo. Black and white. From our first year. Us, smiling. Real. On the back, I'd written. You should have grieved this instead of replacing it. She held it like it was burning. I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Everyone she touched to cover her tracks, every alibi, every enabler, now carried her shame like a scent they couldn't wash off. She spent so long curating a life of half-truths. Now the full truth was public, stamped, and filed. No screaming. No fights. Just pure, surgical exposure. She gave me betrayal. I gave her biography. The house sold in 30 days. Fast. Quiet. I never stepped inside again after the papers were signed. I let the realtor handle everything. She asked if I wanted to leave anything behind. I told her, everything that matters already left a long time ago. Ashley moved into a smaller place across town. I saw the forwarding address in a legal document. Apartment complex. Thin walls. No garden. I didn't care. She emailed once more. Just a subject line, I still dream about us. No body. No attachments. I didn't open it. I archived it. Then deleted the entire account we used to share. Mark's divorce was brutal. His wife went public, posted screenshots. Tagged Ashley. I didn't engage. Didn't need to. The only thing louder than confrontation is absence. I changed my number. New city. New job. Nobody here knows her name. The last time I saw her was on a random tagged photo someone else posted, some wedding, some distant friend. She was smiling, thin, glass in hand, eyes tired. Caption, so proud of how far she's come. Far. She hadn't moved an inch. Sometimes people don't fall. They rot standing up. I never told my parents the full story. Didn't have to. My mom saw my face once after it all ended and just said, "You look done." I was. Done begging. Done analyzing. Done bleeding slow over someone who never hesitated to cut. What Ashley never understood was that betrayal doesn't require an explosion. It just needs silence, repeated. That's how trust dies, not all at once, but drop by drop, like a faucet she refused to fix. Now, the leak is gone. So is she. And in the stillness that followed, I found everything she tried to erase: dignity, clarity, self. The truth wasn't the weapon. It was the clean air I could finally breathe once her lies stopped taking up space. No final words. No forgiveness. No reunion arc. Just distance. Cold. Measured. Permanent. Like it should have been from the second I smelled him on her skin.